As we are dealing with the forebrain, the next part of the forebrain that we are going to study is hypothalamus. And apart from hypothalamus, we are going to study the limbic system, because hypothalamus is part of that limbic system. And we are going to see that how these systems, the limbic system and hypothalamus, how these two parts of the forebrain perform a comprehensive function of coordinating various activities. And especially when we talk about hypothalamus and the limbic system, we concentrate more on the emotional behavior. Basically, that part of the forebrain which is more responsive towards emotional stresses and behaviors, that part we are going to study, and we are going to see what are the functions of those parts of the brain, instead of getting more in depth with the structural knowledge. Structural knowledge, because the brain is quite a complex structure, so we prefer seeing it in a given projector diagram instead of drawing the diagrams, because for every time you cannot draw the entire brain. So keeping that aside, what we are going to see in this lesson is that what are the functions of hypothalamus and what is the limbic system, which is part of forebrain. Now first of all, you have to remember that the forebrain part that we are talking about, it is going to receive all the sensory information, and then it has to send that sensory information to the cerebrum for processing. So basically, that part of the brain which takes up the information and that part of the brain which is responsible for emotional behaviors, that part we are going to study. Firstly, we are going to concentrate on hypothalamus, because that is the part which plays an important role in various emotional behaviors. And apart from that, if you can recall, hypothalamus is an important endocrine gland which secretes many stimulating or controlling hormones which in a way govern the behavior of pituitary gland. So in the limbic system we have hypothalamus, and we are not going to study about thalamus over here, because it is better to study thalamus with the cerebral cortex itself, because thalamus is the one region, you can say that it is a checkpoint from where all the senses, they enter the cerebrum. From the body, the sensory neurons that are entering the brain, they would come and get coordinated and they would accumulate in thalamus, and then from thalamus the signal would be sent to cerebrum. So basically we are going to study hypothalamus over here. Now enough of introduction, coming to the main points. These points you have to remember by heart. First thing is that the hypothalamus, as the name suggests, it is hypo and thalamus. The name has been derived from the description itself, that it lies at the base of thalamus. It is quite a small organ, you can say that it is a bulb-like structure, small bulbous structure, which is almost 4 grams. Alright. But there is a bunch of neurons over there. This part is highly vascularized, that means there would be a lot of blood supply over here, cerebrospinal fluid would be present. What is the function along with the brain stem? This hypothalamus, it integrates and controls the visceral activities. Now when I say visceral activities, these two functions which have been mentioned, this one, that is integrating and controlling the visceral activities, and involuntary behavior control, this is done in coordination with the brain stem. Alright, these two functions, brain stem, you know what is brain stem. Even if you don't know, you have to remember that brain stem is basically the midbrain part of the brain, and hypothalamus, along with the parts of brain stem, it coordinates and it controls the behavior of that is involuntary behavior control, and secondly it integrates and controls the visceral activities. Apart from that, our hypothalamus is responsible for maintaining homeostasis, that is controlling the internal environment of the body and maintaining the equilibrium, is also part and parcel of hypothalamus activities. Now involuntary behavior control, that was along with brain stem. Next is that it has a complex thermostat system which is responsible for keeping body temperature at 37 degrees Celsius. So our thermostat is also in our brain, you can make it out that maintaining the body temperature, this point and this point, they are also similar, and hypothalamus has a regulatory role in homeostasis as well as the maintenance of the constant body temperature. Now there are certain behaviors which are responsible for survival of the organism, that is the organisms have ensured their survival. We studied in evolution that many organisms have ensured their survival by certain activities. Now, what are those activities? What are the behaviors which are related to survival? First one is feeding. Supposedly, some organism has to survive, or some species has to survive. First and foremost thing is that they should have a good feeding behavior. Then there is feeding, then there is fleeing from a certain place, then there is mating. All these behaviors which are related to the survival of a species would be controlled by hypothalamus again. Now, seeing all these points, you can make it out that it is quite an important organ in the brain, quite an important part of the brain, and it influences respiration and heartbeat as well. Apart from this, there is an endocrine function of hypothalamus, which, in case you don't remember all the endocrine functions, one thing you have to remember, that it is the hypothalamus along with the pituitary gland which plays an important role in depicting and in controlling the sexual behavior of the organism. Not just the sexual behavior, in fact the sexual development is also dependent upon hypothalamus and the pituitary gland hormones. Now, you might have read about, or you might be knowing that there are certain sex hormones which are secreted by sex organs, and how much they are to be released, and that entire process of release of those hormones is under the control of feedback mechanisms which ultimately respond to hypothalamus itself. That is why hypothalamus is an important part of the brain. Now, this hypothalamus forms the part of limbic system. Now, what is limbic system? Limbic system, the name is descriptive in itself, but I don't guess that you must be knowing that it is limbic means lip-like. So, this system, it looks like a lip, or you can say that it is like, you might have seen a horseshoe. There are horseshoe structure is like inverted U sort of thing. This is what the structure looks like, the horseshoe structure, or a ring-like structure. Or you might have seen that there are certain infants who put this thing in their mouth when they are having teeth or sort of thing. This is how limbic system looks like, but it would not be like this earphone structure sort of thing. It is supposedly, this is the brain, it would be present like this over here. Alright, so this part, now this lower part has amygdala and it has hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is present almost over here. Here there is thalamus, below it there is hypothalamus. This is just the descriptive structure I am telling you. This entire system happens to be limbic system. I am going to present it otherwise also, because I guess this is not quite clear. See, simplest representation would be, supposedly this is someone's forebrain, this would be the limbic system, something like this, okay. Over here we are going to find hippocampus, over here you are going to find amygdala, here you will have thalamus, and below it would be hypothalamus, there would be pineal gland, of course it would be present, and this entire part is limbic system. Now, what is the role of limbic system? First of all, before getting to the role, what is limbic system? It is the extensive neural linkage that is present between cerebrum, brainstem and cerebellum. Alright, so basically it is a connecting part, that is the lower part of the brain, that is hind brain, it is being connected through midbrain to the cerebrum by limbic system, because entire processing part has to be done in the cerebrum. So, there should be something which would be connecting the hind brain, or the brainstem to be very precise, to the cerebrum part, and that is done by limbic system. Now, what is the role of this entire system? We are going to come to the parts of it individually, but before that, if we have to sum up the entire role of this limbic system, it is sending out of signals, the signals which are being perceived from the sense organs inside the brain. Those signals are to be sent out to the rest of the brain, and in a way it would influence the behavior. Now, which behavior? The behavior that is to be brought out. Now, we are introduced to the term behavior over here. Now, what we are going to see next is that the parts of the limbic system have different roles. The different parts, they have different roles in the emotional and behavioral aspect of the organism. You know that supposedly you are under some sort of stress, you are not able to sleep, you are under some sort of fear, there is a sweating process that comes all of a sudden, you are having some sort of pain, then again your brain is not completely relaxed. Then there is a condition like supposedly there is a good feeling, then also it is the brain which is controlling. So there are certain emotions like love, sadness, there is fear, there is aggression, all these emotions that would be controlled, that would be under control of this limbic system. Now you can make it out that limbic system is quite important, because when we talk about brain, we don't consider that the other things, other physiological functions that it is performing, but our prime concern is all those emotional behaviors that it shows, and that behavior influence would be brought about by the limbic system, because it would send out the sensory signals from the body that are perceived in the brain, and that would be sent to the other parts of the brain where they would be processed and an equivalent behavior would be given out. Now there are three parts that we study. We don't talk about thalamus over here. We have talked about hypothalamus. So basically if we talk about the limbic system, it would be made up of thalamus, hypothalamus, amygdala, hippocampus and septum, which is present in the limbic system. Now individually we are going to see what amygdala, hippocampus and septum are present for. Talking about amygdala, the amygdala is present at the base, this little bit lower base, as I pointed out. This part would be amygdala. Now this amygdala is almond shaped, like that the almonds that we consume, it is almond shaped, and it controls moods. Which moods? The mood of anger, rage, aggression, remembering fear. Now you have some sort of fear, you know that first time when you saw snake, it was a fearful experience. Next time whenever you're going to see the snake, then again that would be fearful experience. So remembering the fear, the aggression behavior, rage and anger, all these behaviors. So you can make it out that next time somebody quite aggressive comes next to you, you can make it out that it is the amygdala part that is giving out the aggression, lot of aggression in that person. Next is hippocampus. Now if you have crammed deeply the animal kingdom scientific names, you would know that hippocampus is the scientific name for seahorse. Now this hippocampus, it resembles somewhat like seahorse. Now it is a swollen lower lip of limbic system. As I told you, limbic system means the name limbic has been derived from the lip-like shape. This hippocampus part would form the swollen lip-like structure, swollen part of the limbic system, lower lip, and it resembles that the shape of a seahorse. Now enough said about shapes and locations. Coming to what is the role of hippocampus, it deals with mix of signals about smells and memories. Now supposedly your favorite dish is being cooked, so you can make it out that it is my favorite dish, and all of a sudden you get the feeling of hunger inside you. So that feeling and that signal that is perceived in the hippocampus, and at the same time the hippocampus memorizes it. Now when we talk about memorizing, we need to remember that it is the hippocampus which is responsible for converting the short term memory to the long term memory. Now you can take the example of remembering some sort of song. If I ask you to sing 10 songs in continuous go, you will not be able to sing those songs. 10 songs, they will take some time in your mind, but there would be 2 or 3 songs that would come to your mind immediately, because they are present in your long term memory. Now converting the short term memory into the long term memory is the role which is played by hippocampus of the limbic system. Now supposedly this lesson, you learn it now, if you don't revise it within 5 days, you will forget it. Now if the hippocampus is active at that time, it is possible that the short term memory lesson that you are listening to right now, it can be converted into long term memory right now at that stage. Example, simplest example is those of remembering the alphabets. They have gone into our long term memory and we never forget those alphabets, but instead the words, they take a longer time getting converted into the long term memory, and that is the role which is played by hippocampus. So you see that till now we have been dealing with the behavioral aspects, at the same time we are dealing with the memorizing part as well. Last is The septum is linked to the hypothalamus. As the name suggests, it must be something like a septum. It is a fork-like structure. In fact, the entire limbic system is a fork-like structure. Then in the limbic system, there is another fork-like structure, small fork-like structure, that is known as septum. It is linked to the hypothalamus. Now, one activity we talked about hypothalamus was that it plays an important role in sexual behavior, and the role of septum is emotion center. It is the emotion center for sexual arousal. Now, what is this point all about? It states that there should be some emotion center in the brain for sexual arousal, because the sexual activity involves certain emotions and behavioral aspects, and without that the sexual activity cannot be completed. And you know that human beings are organisms which reproduce sexually, so this is quite an important part for the perination of human species. So, with this we come to the end of limbic system, and we come to the end of our understanding of functions, basically the functions of hypothalamus and limbic system.